Hey, welcome on in, everybody. Thanks for checking out the channel. Tobin here with you. If you guys could, please subscribe here and subscribe to the Tobin Leroy Show, which is broadcasting, video casting every single day on YouTube and Twitch. We'll put the link in the bio. If you guys could go subscribe over there, you get a notification every time we go live, which is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every single weekday. And I would appreciate that. I know my guy Leroy is going to be upset. I know Heat Nation is upset right now. We got the official news on Victor Oladipo. It is not good. Victor Oladipo is suffering a torn patellar tendon in his left knee, which he suffered with just under 4 minutes yesterday in Game 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Just an absolute devastating injury. You never want to see anybody go down, certainly, but there's something out of being Victor Oladipo, which hurts a little bit deeper just because of how much recovery this guy has already gone through. You know, you're talking about a guy who was one of the best two-way players in basketball, an absolute menace on defense, was a former All-Star, and ever since he's had these leg issues, which bubbled up in 2019, he's been basically what's felt like on the same journey of trying to get back to that guy, and it's been obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, whether it be, you know, the first surgery that he had getting botched and him saying that he didn't have the balance, and you know, coming to this tenure with the Miami Heat where he got to play 4 games before he re-injured himself, and then, you know, had to get another surgery to fix what was essentially wrong with the first surgery, and had this long journey back up until last year, and they were playing him in such limited minutes and you know, at the same time as a guy who's trying to get back to what he was, and as he had said a few times, get back to a guy who's even better than the guy that he was at the time when he got hurt. And to see yesterday, which was going to be such a thrilling win for the Heat, and it was, but it just, you saw all of the faces on that Heat bench, how crushed they are for him, because they know how hard he's worked, how many things he's had to go through to get to that moment. And really, once again, was in a spot where, you know, Tyler Hero had just gotten hurt. And, you know, maybe his window was going to open here to really provide something for Miami in this postseason run. And he can remind people about who he is, and, you know, was looking good. And at this year had times where he looked like he really had that burst. You know, the shooting was kind of in and out this year, but, you know, maybe Vic was going to start showing some of those flashes, and to see it all come to an end like that when the game was in hand already, a move that he has been doing plenty of times. It just sucks, man. And you could just see the look on everybody's face from Jimmy Butler on down in the lineup. Eric Spoelstra yesterday after the game was describing it as that he felt like throwing up.
Well, I felt like he was either staring at me or at Wes. And he was like signaling, you know, to come over there. Wes and I were standing right next to each other, you know, and you know, it just knew he didn't feel right. But then once the stretcher was out there, he's like, I'm not getting on that thing. You know, so we'll just have to see. You know, I feel like throwing up right now, but I don't know what the prognosis is. So, you know, I want to stay positive, you know, on this, and we'll just see what happens after we scan them tomorrow.
Yeah, and so that was obviously after yesterday's game, and Spo had to address the media again today, but they had not, you know, heard or given the official word on what it was, and so now we know. Now we know it's going to be another long recovery for Victor Oladipo, who does have a $9 million option for next year. So, you know, on a business side, you know, Vic at least has that. But again, this is a guy who I think fancied that he was going to get somewhere where somebody was going to really believe him as one of those go-to guys again. And I don't know if that was going to ever happen down here in Miami. It's tough to know. He has kind of been yo-yoed in and out of the rotation from time to time, but it's impossible to ignore those games where you just saw the flashes of brilliance from him, you know, where he did look like he could lock anybody up and he could blow past anybody. Like, it was definitely there. I mean, you definitely could see those moments for him. And, you know, this is just a crusher. It's just a crusher for a good dude who has been busting his ass to get back to, what he once was. And it just feels like, between the first surgery not going well and, trying to fit in with a contending team last year and, be this additional piece and then be out of the rotation, then come back in because Kyle gets hurt. And, then you are an important piece and a guy they're relying upon in playoff games, to this year where this is the thing that was a little bit concerning, is that he comes into the year and he was already having some issues with this same left knee. He had some tendonitis, but, the Heat took it at a very, very cautious approach, that this was going to be something where, they were going to be careful with Vic. And, that first stint where he had come back, he really looked like he was playing some of the best basketball he had in a Heat jersey. Then he suffered an ankle injury, and that kind of deterred things again. And it didn't feel like he was quite the same after he had that. But, you were in a situation in this postseason with Tyler going out with the broken hand that Vic was certainly going to be relied upon in certain moments in certain games. And, just crushing, just an absolute bummer to get that type of news. And then from Miami's standpoint, who's going to now replace that situation of a guy who is that good of an on-ball defender and providing that energy? Certainly the bench has come through early on in this playoff series, but a guy who can kind of get to the rim, like they don't really have a guy like that right now. You're going to need some more good performance from Kyle. You're going to need Duncan Robinson to keep shooting like that. I would say defensively, if they get into a pinch like that, you're probably going to see some Haywood Highsmith in those situations and see what he can do. We've certainly seen Haywood be thrown into some stressful assignments this year, and he's handled them pretty great. But I think it's just the human side of this that sucks. Ultimately, I don't know if this makes or breaks the Heat on any standpoint, but it's just it's been a lot, man. I mean, think about this. I know everybody has been focused on the two-time MVP being out, and obviously I understand why that is a bigger story nationally. But this locker room having to deal with Tyler Hero gone like that in the first half of the playoffs, and now losing Vic in the closing minutes of another win. You've had two really good wins to put yourself in a good position in this series, and you just suffer these two big gut punches. And I think we've all come into this year not saying that the Heat were the deepest team. I think certainly if you look across, people would say Milwaukee is a much deeper team than Miami, and now they're in a situation where they have to really rally around this and find some different means, because you have some things that Vic just can provide from a unique standpoint that they don't have now, all in one package. And certainly with Tyler being out, you don't have that late bucket getter with ice water in his veins. So more pressure continues to go on your stars. Jimmy Butler's been outstanding, but man, just it's hard not to feel the heaviness that this has on this Heat team, and not having Vic out there for them. Here's a little bit from yesterday after the game. Duncan Robinson on the mixed emotions of yesterday's win.
It's tough, man. Obviously, it's a mix of emotions. First one just thinking of him, and you just kind of got a pit in your stomach after seeing something like that, and watching him work and come back from the injuries that he's come back from and show the resilience that he has. Never count him out, obviously, but it hurts to see somebody, that you care about go through something like that. And obviously, we don't know what it is at this point. We're all praying for the best. But still, he's dealt with a lot of adversity in that department.
Yeah, and then obviously, tough on Duncan because, it should have been a great day for Duncan, right? Like this big resurgence game on his birthday, but obviously thinking of his teammate in that situation. And the Heat on a Sunday were basically just doing some film work, some recovery, didn't really practice. They will be back at it on Monday. I'll be boots on the ground for that one at the Kaseya Center, but just sucks to get this news on Victor Oladipo, man. A really, really likable guy, a guy who's been wanting to be part of the Heat for a while, and it just has not probably been the way he envisioned it where we're doing whale sounds for this guy a few years back when he's at the peak of his powers. He's, seemingly making it very known that he wants to be in Miami. It seemed like one of those D-Wade proteges, and it's been anything but smooth, and not by his own blame. Just what just seems like real shit luck. And so, praying for Vic, hope that he can get through this recovery and you can see him back on a basketball court, but certainly just has to feel like a real heavy couple of days for him after all the work he's already put through to get back. Now he's got to start another journey on that.